So we get, like I understand it was meant to be slapstick, right? I just find the scene runs for way too long. This is where the Autobots are like, all right, we need to go and get the glasses. So they have to sneak onto the property of the Witwikis, and they try to hide and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now on paper is a nice bit. I understand, because the joke is, oh, it's these tall, gigantic robots. How they gonna hide in suburbia? Isn't it funny? They try to hide, and they all like circling around this house. Ha ha! Ha. Isn't that funny? And then when they turn into vehicles now, they are the guy's lord, right? They are the father's lord. And it's this bit where stop running on my lord and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the bit, right? But I will lie, though, the scene just ran for way too long. I felt it dragged. It got even worse though, because with Sam's mom, he one of the most annoying characters in this whole franchise, bar none. Wondering what Sam's doing in this room all alone, all by himself, right? But it's actually Sam and Michaela looking for the glass, right? So there's a bit where Michaela's hiding, and the mom opens up. It's like, yeah, what were you doing? Were you all alone? Were you masturbating? It's all cool. Boys do that all the time. You can call it Sam's time, blah blah blah. Yeah. When I saw it in theaters, people laughed the moment when they heard when they heard masturbation. But like when you watch it now, it's just like, oh gosh, man, this is cringe. Yeah. And I'm gonna say something quite controversial here. Even the way how Optimus moves, Trent, even though the way how the Autobots move in this sequence, just obnoxious way. Like, all right, all they're supposed to be robots in disguise, Trent. At least all they could do is step away from the house and let Sam do his thing. You're crowding around the house and this Prussian guy, and Optimus is like, come on, hurry up, get it quickly, come on, we need to go. Like, bro, you're a soldier, wait, bro, like, what you doing? But again, it's supposed to be funny, ha 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 ha. But it just ran for way too long, and it's kind of cringe, right? But yeah, Ricardo, any thoughts on the scene? And
yeah, same thing. Too much as I said, too much cringe humor. It take a little too long. They play into the audience at the time. So again, this is already bad stuff in this film that really they kept and they shouldn't have kept. However, it gets worse, I find, and it's because of one particular character and actor that I really felt I do like how they play. You'll get it. Yeah.
Is it we boy John Turturro?
Of course it is.
Yep. Yes, because he shows up right afterwards. He plays Seymour Simmons, a special agent of this government agency called Sector 7, right? Another thing a lot of people who despise the Transformers film do like, right? The government secrets and cover-ups and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, these guys pretty much represent that. They are the Area 51 people.
And which I don't mind.
Like, oh, well, we know everything and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
Which I don't mind if they played it seriously. But they didn't play it seriously.
No, yeah. I mean, we love John Turturro, right? Even when he appeared in the Batman, like, we love him there, right? Yeah, but yeah, here he's just a buffoon. He's just that guy who just kind of shows up and says, "I'm with the government, and I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to barge into your homes and do all this kind of stuff because I'm with the government, right? The blah blah blah, right?" And it gets to the point where he arrests them because they pick up on some radiation apparently, right? So on the way down to carry them wherever, right? And that's the parents, Sam and Michaela. I'll talk about the parents in the end, right? The existing, well, because Bumblebee and the other Transformers basically come and save Sam and Michaela, right? And there's a bit where all of them, where the Sector 7 people themselves are told to stand down by the Autobots, right? Because they had guns and whatnot, right? And yeah, we get to easily one of the most cringiest moments in the film, where out of nowhere, nobody asks for it.
Yeah.
Bumblebee just up on the side. Yeah. He had a pee on Seymour.
Why?
And then Optimus had to make it worse by saying, "Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh,
stop
God.
it." Yeah, it's a real shame that they had all of this bullshit.
I know this is laughing at that shit when I saw it back then.
I don't know.
I watch it now and I just cringe. I just like,
at
oh,
the time,
God.
Nah, at the time, I hated this bullshit. This was just bullshit. Terrible. Had no reason for that. Whatever. Go ahead.
I agree. No reason for that, right? And there's no context to it too as well, because yes, Bumblebee spotted, Sam's dog, but there was no moment where Sam was. Oh yes. Well, sorry. To be fair, Sam's dog did pee on him, right? So that's a joke. Oh, that's how you show dominance by peeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, right? So you actually get a pretty decent action bit now where more Sector 7 people show up now, and then you get this chase sequence, and in the process Sam and Michaela are captured again, and Bumblebee unfortunately is captured, right? And Optimus, and being the soldier that he is like, all right, we need to fall back, Bumblebee, we need to continue the mission without him, right? Even though as you see later on, Bumblebee is kind of being poked, prodded, and being tortured basically by Sector 7, right? So yeah, they're basically taken to the Sector 7 headquarters. It's located at this dam. And then of course, because it's so super secretive, it's located deep down there, Also, Maggie, Glenn, and the defense secretary are there as well too, right? So because about the signal and all that good stuff, right? Meanwhile, Optimus figures out where the location of the cube is, right? And there's actually a genuinely great moment of character development now where Jazz of all people criticizes Optimus by saying, well, dude, we're supposed to go and save Bumblebee, Dre. Like, what are you doing? Talk about, let me go for the cube. And Optimus is like, yo, Bumblebee's a soldier. It's all about the mission, right? So, I mean, it's generic stuff, but I love that. I love that, they're still thinking like soldiers, right? And, the Autobots, I mean, their response makes sense. Like, why are you fighting for these humans, right? They're primitive and violent race, right? According to Ratchet. I believe he's the one who says that, right? And Optimus is like, we so different. So essentially, he sees the good in humanity. So, he feels he had accomplished the mission, or else everyone dies, right? And his thing is that the cube has to be destroyed in order to win the war, right? But if all else fails, he will unite it with his chest, which will kill him, right? So meanwhile, at the Sector 7 place now, it's revealed now that they had the body of Megatron, right? And on a side note, this is actually the first time that we see him in present day in the movie. I counted 1 hour and 36 minutes into the film, and we finally see Megatron in present day, right? But anyway, another, and you know what is on so another nitpick, right? So we really had to wait a really long while now for these Decepticons themselves to come in to save to more or less save Megatron, their leader, right? But we get to that in a bit, right? So they do the whole Area 51 thing where it's like, oh well, the microchip and space flight and cars and all that kind of stuff were reverse engineered by studying Megatron, right? Is that stretch? But at this point in the film, I'm like, all right, we will buy into it, right? And similar to Independence Day, the U.S. government don't even know about this. They don't even know about their existence, right? They don't even know that they have Megatron cooped up inside this place, right? But the surprise, they don't even stop there. Then the 7 now come and say that they had the cube all along as well too, right? I like in terms of scope, you see just how big this device is, right? So yeah, so speaking of, and pretty much the reason why they had the headquarters buried on the ground is that they just didn't want the signal to be, the energy signature, of the cube to be detected, right?
Right.
So speaking of detected, if you remember that same sneaky robot that turned into Michaela's phone, yeah, he's inside there as well too. So once he sees the cube, he informs everyone, right? And then they just do this bit where you see this montage of all the Decepticons that they could squeeze into the film, and everybody, like, you see like a little title card for each one of them, right? So you see Starscream, he's a fighter jet. We see Barricade, that's the police car from earlier. We see Devastator, which is a tank. We see boy Bone Crusher, who is this Buffalo H mine protected vehicle. That's the name of it.
I was annoyed that we didn't get Soundwave until the second film, but I love what they did. I love what they did Soundwave with the second film.
Yeah. Soundwave was always a favorite character of mine, right? And last but not least, we even get Blackout, who is the chopper from the beginning of the movie, right? Now, so it kind of answers the question, what did happen to that Decepticon, right?
Yeah.
And hey, speaking of Starscream, boy, that man wastes no time, boy. He just flies in, transforms like a badass.
Yeah,
and he just starts blasting, though. Like, how he flies in and transforms into start blasting shit. I love that, boy. Starscream have some of the best moments in the movie, which you'll get to, right?
Listen, I don't think it have a single moment in any of the sequels that have as cool a moment that Starscream has later in the film.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, right? Say he started to take out a few power generators, of course, that because they pretty much have Megatron and cryostasis, right? So, of course, the little cryostasis devices start, that start depleting pretty much, right? So, yeah, so Megatron kind of comes out, and meanwhile, while all this is going on, Sam demands that, the 7 release Bumblebee, right? Because he you know, to help out, right? So Bumblebee now is free, and pretty much they go to the cube. I like this bit where he activates the cube by touching it, and then it just turns into the smaller kind of medium-sized version, which they use for the rest of the film, right? And I forgot to mention William and Robert are there too, and
Right.
they come up with the idea of pretty much moving the cube into the city, hiding it, so from any further attacks, right? So 36 minutes left in the film, right? And Megatron finally shows up, right? I
Yeah.
gotta love the fact that the first thing he say after being frozen for over century is, "I am Megatron." At this point in time, I like, look, the movie almost done. They just ruined it, like whatever, right? But his transformation into a jet and back into Megatron, bad ass. That's
Yeah.
where you see him outside of the dam and he fly and then turn
Right.
into the Decepticon himself.
All right. So
I
here's the thing.
love that.
Yes, the thing I don't like. All right. So like the thing is, Megatron could turn. The way they frame it is that Megatron could kind of turn into anything. Like he could both be tank or like it's implied that he could scan multiple vehicles and be all of them. The one thing I really hate is that they never do the gun thing, Jared. It's like they do that weird.
Yeah,
But
because
they
that's
ever do
always
the
a
gun.
part of the Megatron design. The
Exactly.
gun, yes.
Well, here's
yes.
the thing, it don't have to be a gun, right? Like to update it, they could like make it like a Mega Man arm cannon, maybe. So he's like transform onto the transformer, and maybe he can like take over their mind. They could do so much with it. I don't know. Whatever. I just hate that they never do the gun thing.
Yeah. So of course Bumblebee and all our heroes, they drive off now, and sure enough he runs into Optimus and the others too, right? And I mean I know like vehicle junkie and whatnot, but I admit if you're like a car junkie and whatnot, it was probably a big deal back then seeing the Optimus's semi trailer do a 180 dread on the road, on the road, and then comes back forward and continues driving off. That is some excellent stunt driving there. I will not lie, right? Right, and then your boy Bone Crusher now follows right after them, right? And he's flipping car after car, right? And Bone Crusher's transformation mid-chase, boy. Holy shit! That transformation is so hard, though. And Barricade, by the way, is right behind him, right? Mm-hmm. So Optimus transforms, and then he prepares to battle Bone Crusher, right? And Bone Crusher, dog, is literally roller skating on the street because he have wheels on the feet there.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that idea, round of applause. That is one of the best things in that whole series, that whole franchise bar none, right? Now, yes, the fight between Optimus and Bone Crusher is short, but my God, is it awesome, Jed.
Yeah.
The way how Bone Crusher smashed through the bus and split it in two.
Yeah.
The way how Optimus pull out a sword and literally stab Bone Crusher right through the face, Jed. If you wasn't like melting now when you saw this for the first time, I don't know, boy. But yeah, it's thoughts on this Bone Crusher versus Optimus fight sequence.
Yeah, hard. I can't deny. This was just like, again, they couldn't believe they pulled this stuff off again. Weight and momentum. I guess you really get a sense of two massive objects bouncing around now. Like, yeah, they make it work.
Yeah, they certainly did, right? So meanwhile, now the others arrive at the city. They waited for air support, right? And speaking of air, Starscream shows up now. While he's off screen, he fires one shot at the heroes. The explosion itself causes it ends up blowing off Bumblebee's legs, right? And Bumblebee ends up giving Sam the cube. So basically, Sam just basically has to run to this nearby building, kind of nearby in a sense, but it's a great distance, right? Go to the top, signal the flare, and these two military choppers will come and take the cube from him, right? So suddenly devastated now as the tank shows up now. He's firing shots at our heroes, right?
Yeah.
Ironhide drives in now, and then we get, in my humblest opinion, the best shot in the entire movie. It is a slow-mo where Ironhide transforms, right? Leaps forward like a cat, right? He avoids Devastator's missiles, right? Before he lands, he fires his guns into the street, right? Propels him upwards, right? He flips and he lands behind, right? This woman, and the way how it's shot, right? How it's blocked. Sorry, this random woman in blue, right? She just right in the middle of the shot, and she just screaming and everything, right? And it's all done in slow mo, Jenny. Camera like followed right alongside her. So you see it kind of coming right close to her face and kind of turn around. And you see it, I just kind of flip right behind her and avoid another missile. I could watch that shot for hours, but the first time I see it, my jaw dropped. I was out of it. I lost my shit when I saw that. Every time I see that particular shot, I love Dread. So I don't know if you have anything to weigh in on this one shot alone.
Yeah, no, hard. So yeah. Again, hard. Not my favorite moment, but still pretty badass. Like, it's just ask it. Again, it's all spectacle from here on in. So it's like nothing to talk about. It's just hard.
Exactly. And one thing like this sequence nails so perfectly though is the scope of everything. You really do feel like, yes, these are giant robots fighting in the middle of a city. You feel that scope. You feel the scope, of all that shit. But again, I have to go back to what I said earlier. Golden Compass won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects shit. You know? When I saw that shot, I did like, why? Why did you not see this shot? Did you not see that Academy? But anyway, right? So then Jazz, Ratchet, and Ironhide show up and they start ganging up on Devastator. And I mean, again, Golden Compass won an Oscar for Best Visual Effects, Jed. Like, dog, this is so awesome, Jed. It's just awesome, this short, right? Yeah. So Megatron finally shows up to the scene. He started blowing shit up. He saw Dread there. He grabbed Jazz, Dread. And this is one of those things that they kind of forget, right? It's like how he, like, and he lands on this kind of, like, this pillar, if you will, right? And it looks almost like an eagle, like, grab its prey and just land in a nest. It looked just like that, Trent. I love how Jazz was just talking. She was like, you want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? And Megatron was like, no, I want two. I literally split the man in half, Trent. So, yeah, sad. Yeah. But anyway, so Sam is still running and, you know, he's fleeing for his life and all that kind of stuff. Optimus finally shows up. He transforms in an epic fashion. Again, audience is balling at this moment. I just love this one shot though. Like Optimus just kind of shows up, transforms, poses, and then yells Megatron, and Megatron is like Prime. Yeah. Another favorite transformation of mine. Why I love it though, again, just the shot composition and sound design. So the music cut off for like about a few seconds, and you just see Megatron just transforms mid-air into the jet and flies towards Optimus. Yeah. I can watch that shot for hours, but I love that shot, right? It's just how seamless it all it's all executed, right? Yeah. And I mean, the fight between the two of them is just badass, so you know what I mean? And to the point, it had moment like it had two instances where they smashed through buildings, right? Like real Man of Steel Avengers kind of stuff going on here, right? And to the point that you and all would even wonder if anybody survived that. Like this, like the first time both characters bust through the middle of this building, you're like, dog, people was in there, Dread. Like people was working there, people were in cubicles when they smashed through there. I wonder if anybody survived that, right? But anyway, right? So Sam's running at top speed. Starscream shows up like a badass. I love how he just transforms. He lands on the street, right? And he's skidding forward, right? And had these parked cars. And you just see like two of them just like uprooted at the same time. So he just kind of skids and like how he moved forward there. He just lifts those two cars with his feet, right? I love that. Starscream is such a badass, right? So there's a moment where Sam falls on the street now and he kind of activates the cue by accident, right? So a shockwave is sent now and it just kind of activates his mechanical devices to transform, if you will, right? Even back then, points for the little Xbox moment, right? So the guy has an Xbox and it just kind of transforms. You hear the sound effect.
Again, they had to pay for the movie somehow. So, you know? Yep. Yeah.
that was clever. I give them points for that. Didn't really care for the blatant Mountain Dew vending machine that sells it.
Yep. You have to pay for the movie somehow.
You
have to pay for the movie somehow.
I like having.
Listen, you just get extra. You just get free shit from the military. You get free shit from corporations. That shit is covered like 75% of the movie.
You know. Yeah. But right, so Sam arrives at the building now. Megatron is following after him. Meanwhile, in this really kick-ass scene, Michaela hauls Bumblebee in this back of this tow truck. And like while she's driving, Bumblebee just blasting at her. Okay, he ends up destroying Devastator there. But that's that scene in particular, how they get Michaela involved though. That get point. I love that, right? So back in the building, Sam makes his way to the top of the roof. He finds himself cornered by Megatron and Starscream, right? Optimus sees him, but just in the nick of time of him falling.
We talk about my favorite Starscream moment. We
get to there. Right. So Optimus sees him, right? Optimus and Megatron resume their duel. Blackout suddenly sneaks, Blackout showing up from behind, right? And William now, who didn't really get his one moment in the movie to shine, he get a little bit, he drive a bike and then he slide off it, and then he slide in and he fired. I will lie to you, I kind of like that scene, the goofy. I kind of like it. And he's like, yeah, he's a fire. I like it. It's dumb. I like it.
Stop giving this long time, though. Like, whatever. I mean, that bullshit was just. I mean, I know they had a hype up about it, but still, man. Oh God, man.
I know. Yeah. Right. So some F-22s now kind of show up to help the soldiers, right, on the ground.
Yeah.
And Starscream shows up.
Awesome. This was the best. This is what selling movie for me.
Boy.
Wait, let's see.
He just transforms back and forth in the air.
Yes, John.
While destroying.
I find this
movie could have won an Oscar and it didn't.
Yeah.
This is hands down the best scene in the whole film. I would rival this from the slow shot that I mentioned earlier, but this is hands down the best scene in the movie. Every time I see it, even talking about it right now, I get chills. You know.
This is a shame that we didn't have something like this in the second movie, John. Because again, writer strike, whatever. But still, though, like the real best opportunities are what they could do that second movie with this. Because, like, dog, more jet shit. Jet in the sky. You can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with flying. Flying action sequences are always great. They can't go wrong.
Because
it is in 3 dimensions. That's why. So when you could get very imaginative and clever with it. Though. However, moving on.
Yeah, so the remaining F-22s do damage to Megatron, and he's about to charge at Sam, right? And Optimus tells Sam to put the cube in his chest. Right. And a really genuinely smart move. Sam puts it in Megatron's chest though instead, right. And it fuses the Megatron spark and it causes him to deactivate now.
Right. What I thought would have happened is that this would have been the reason why he would have become Galvatron later.
And when he became Galvatron, it was in the third one, right?
Third one. But I thought he should have become Galvatron in the second one. But whatever. This is
that was a missed opportunity there, right?
Missed opportunity, yes, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty much this ends the battle, right? And Bumblebee now through movie magic now finally speaks and he asks Optimus if he could stay with the boy, and Optimus accepts, right? So now we finally get to the outro of the film, right? At long last, which is set to Linkin Park's What I've Done, right? Admittedly, not the biggest Linkin Park fan. I know they were a big deal in the 2000s.
Is it product at the time? It's like, look,
of course.
This is it. Linkin Park blew up like about 10 years prior, so it'll show up in a movie about 10 years later.
Yeah. I mean, Meteora and Hereditary classics, right?
Right.
But admittedly, I was all of them
bad. That's what they was listening to, and that's what everybody Big Brother was listening to, so it had to show up in that movie. So that's what Hollywood latch on to make sense of, right?
Which is a smart call, right? But admittedly, I was not a fan of Minutes to Midnight. That was the album where this song here was based in, right?
Right.
I only listened to the album once. I was like, didn't really care for it, right? But yeah, that song was huge because of the movie, right?
Yep.
So in the outro, what we learn is that the president ordered Sector 7 to be terminated. Right. The remnants of the Decepticons are dropped into the Laurentian Abyss. Apparently, the displaced now planet. You could tell me because I don't know if it is, but that's what they say.
I forget the name. It's probably that. I don't know. Because it's where Michael Bay. Sorry, not Michael Bay. Titanic. He went down for real.
That's where he went. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. It's that. I don't know. I don't look it up. I can't remember. Yeah.
So William returns home to his wife and kid because we all cared that he had a wife and kid, right? So okay.
Yeah.
Sam and
Michaela,
a couple now, they kissing and all that kind of stuff. And Optimus does his clues in narration thing. So he says, even though his race and humans are worlds apart, there's more to them than meets the eye. Now that sounds way better than what Sam said earlier, right? Which I guess is the point, right? And then he does the I am Optimus Prime. This is the first time that we hear his speeches, right? So he sends a message out to the surviving Autobots. He says, "We are here, we are waiting," and that's what he hear. What I've done.
Of course.
And we all like, yeah, movie done, directed by Michael Bay. We cheering and shit, right? So the film does like a couple of mid-credit scenes where the first is Sam's parents, because legit, even while I was watching it, I forget about them, And then the end, you show them back, and they do a bit where it's like you could tell that they were told not to reveal too much to the public. So like, yeah, isn't that funny? Like, that they're robots. Like, of course, like come on, you can't believe that there's these robots that exist amongst us and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And it's meant to be joke funny, but it kind of isn't. But it's the last bit that really had me going, and that's where you see Starscream flying off into space. Check is like, yes, sequel, you know what I mean? And at the time I was like, yeah, bring it on. And then, well, Revenge of the Fallen happened. And,
yeah, it was rubbish. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. So in closing, I had a blast recapping this, but it still suffered from the cringy be human whatnot, and the criticism that I had even back then when I first saw it are still noticeable. Mainly the length of time that we had to wait for the Decepticons. I know that's what Revenge of the Fallen tried to rectify by bringing them in earlier on, but they just did it in a bad way. It just did it in a terrible way, in my opinion, right? But yeah, I know they was trying to tell a story and they want us to care about the humans and they want to make it all about government conspiracies, all that kind of stuff. But like, it's like, no, people come to see Autobots versus Decepticons, right? You know what I mean? That being said, though, this is still one of the most memorable, I don't want to say best, but still one of the most memorable summer blockbusters ever made. I would hands down say that this is Michael Bay's best PG-13 movie. I always felt like his R-rated films were way better, but for me, this is the most enjoyable. Like, I could care less about Armageddon. The Island is one I need to rewatch too, but yeah, for me, this is my favorite PG-13 Michael Bay movie, hands down. I will always say that he was born to make this trend. Like, he just has an eye in terms of just grandeur and just scope, right? And yeah, true, this is just this is an epic action film, right?
Yeah.
The Transformers themselves. Say what you want about the designs, but my God, I mean, where were you in 2007, Dre, when you saw those on a big screen, Dre, and did not lose your shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, the VFX again, it still holds up. Why this movie didn't win an Oscar for best visual effects is beyond me. And I think in retrospect, if it won best visual effects too, I think the sequels did. I think they would have make a better effort to make the sequels way better. Dre. Like, you have that. You have the Academy saying, look, all they on a rule. Keep it up, keep it up, Even with Steven Spielberg's name attached to it, it's like, yeah, all they on a roll,
I think
But
I would argue.
Still
I would argue, right? I want to say, right. So last point, and we'll just move on, right? Yeah. The reason why this was, to me, this was so much better than the next set of movies, because Steven Spielberg was on board. Like, he had actual good ideas and made it work. Unlike the sequels where like he clearly like the party projects or the franchise at that point. And it's kind of like Nolan and Man of Steel. The reason why Man of Steel was, to me, Man of Steel is significantly better than most of the other DCU. For that is because Nolan was there. He's an actual ideas man, and they actually like have a brain, right? Steven Spielberg, not perfect filmmaker, but in my opinion, pound for pound, probably our greatest filmmaker. That was the reason why a lot of these ideas were better. He just kept it. Clearly, better decisions was made under him. Like, to me, that's why I just like this so much more than the other films. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So in closing, this is without a doubt the best Transformers live action film we've ever gotten. I know that we're supposed to be getting another one of these movies. I'm not even sure who's gonna be behind the scenes, because I know Michael Bay like literally shut the bed with the last night. My God, if Bay left after 3, it would have been fine. He shall leave after 3, right? Because with the fourth one, it went in a totally new direction. I
don't mind that. I don't mind if you do a soft reboot in that sense, because that's what it was. But he shouldn't have direct. But whatever.
Yeah, and at that point in time, it was clear that he just didn't care anymore. And that's why I hate Last Night so much. It was clear that he just stopped caring.
The problem too is that I get a feeling they would have clearly be inferior anyway. Because like, okay, this is a kind of hot take, but not really. I don't really care for Bad Boys 3 all that much. Not because it's a bad film.
Okay. I honestly think it's the best of the trilogy, but really, that's really not seen a lot. I don't think so
at all, because I find the first film is so much better than the sequels, and it's because of Michael Bay. Just the shots and the action and the sequences and the scenarios. Is that that first film is so good for me now, and it's because of Michael Bay's style. And I felt you can't replicate the man's style. And I'll make this joke and I make this point all the time. You could dog on Michael Bay how much you want. Okay, fine, blah 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 blah. But you cannot do what he does. Much like how people is turning those on fast food. Say, okay, don't eat fast food, it'll be neater, but you cannot make a Big Mac. I just keep making that point. You cannot make, most people cannot make a Big Mac. Michael Bay is a Big Mac. He's the McDonald's of film. That is an insult, but it's also an argument for the success. You know what he's doing. To borrow from and yeah, look, he know what he's doing in that sense. To borrow from rap with this epic rap battle on them, motherfucking money, He know what he's doing. It's not like he's talentless. He's not a hacking. Let's be clear about that. Michael Bay is not a hack, right? The man knows his shit. He's a very good filmmaker, but he went in that direction to make him money, motherfucking money, and that's what the man do. Can't take that from the man, Judd.
Exactly. So yeah, and you could argue for days about whether we needed the human characters, were they too much? Did we care about Sam? Did we need about Michaela? That will be a controversy. That will be a debate for years to come.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mistake having as much humor or that type of humor. That cringe humor should go. Sorry. But whatever, like that's part of the man thing. So it's up to you to accept that or not. And I don't accept it. But I felt you could get the action right. Here's the thing with the sequels. The reason why the sequels fail for me, not because of the cringe humor, not because of the humans or anything like that, is that to me, in those sequels, the action sucked. Right? The action was underwhelming. I can't think of a single...
It was hard to follow at points, at a lot of points, yeah.
I can't think of a single sequence in any of the sequels that I was like, way boy, that will stick with me compared to this first film. The first film had smart action, Dread. Action.
That's right.
In my opinion. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, go ahead.
And it was just well shot, well framed, and all that kind of stuff. Not the sort of tight and emphasis, overuse of shaky cam, right?
Cam, yeah.
Right. So you could argue about humans and nobody cares about the humans. I think there were just too much humans. Like I mean, as much as I enjoy Rachel Taylor in the film, she could have been out of the film. We didn't need Auntie Hansen. We didn't need John Turturro, right? It could have just been Sam and Michaela. I guess to a lesser extent William and Robert, even though you can care for William, right?
Right. No, my attitude was just have less humans. Don't tell the story from their perspective. Tell the story from the Autobots' perspective, having to come on Earth. Like, we've seen everything, and they had to make sense of, and then only through context clues, because we know the nature of militaristic America. It was Bush administration shit, right? And you get through them context clues, you make sense of what the humans doing to have a response. Then you tell through Samner, and you see very few government people. Not too much, don't know John Voight, none of that bullshit. Just nameless government faces trying to make sense of the situation and responding to, freaking robot aliens invading Earth now. I don't know. I'm a big stickler for verisimilitude, so that stuff, I don't know, that's a vision call, right? But I felt that's how they should have done it in that. But other than that, I still really enjoyed this movie for what it was.
Me too.
Yeah,
rating for, well, all right.
You go
all
ahead.
Right, you right, okay, well, all right. So rating for me, as a guilty pleasure movie, because that's what I'm gonna rank it as.
Yeah.
Strong 4 to 5, man.
Right.
I had a blast watching this in 2007. I've enjoyed it. We watched it over the years, even with its flaws. And I won't lie to you, I enjoyed it even more. Just preparing for this retrospect review, man. So 50 years from now, it still holds up. Okay. And well, I guess we'll see how it holds up 15 years from now, man. And
right.
I am not even going to bring up the sequels in this discussion here, because they no. So Ricardo, last word.
For me, rating, like more like a 7 out of 10, closer to 8, probably an 8. Like just from a sheer visual perspective, it works. Visual, just the they just blow your mind with this. That's just overwhelming data, and it not bad. None of the sequels was just noise. Sequels was noise. This was, to me, a right call, and I felt they went in the wrong direction with the sequels. Totally wrong direction with keeping the humor, keeping John Turturro in that way. The script and the ideas was a mess, and I felt they could have. I'm one of those that I always hated this mindset of, well, these movies were always going to be bad. And I always felt that was a little too fatalistic. Like, no, you could have write these well, right? But you had to know how to write them. And it's a shame that they take until years later, like Travis Knight had to come and do his stuff. And then he didn't get a chance to do more because the movie didn't make money, because it was too late by then. The damage has already been done. It's a shame. But 7 out of 10, closer to 8, more like an 8. But I just felt it's a real shame that we couldn't get the what if of these films and these movies being good, or at least well received for what they were. That's how I feel about it.
Right.